Good morning once again, and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV. Once again, my name is Apollo Sarah, and welcome to the second segment of the Twitter Jabs. Now, today we are discussing the mushrooming strikes of, public servants over poor pay. And in studio with me are people who are not, visitors to this set. We have had them on this show one too many times. And on my far right is Dr. Rogers Barigayomwe, and he's a political analyst. And right next to him is Dr. Ben Sembajwe, an economist. And they are here to give us their insight in the current situation in regard to the mushrooming strikes of public servants. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
And thank you for joining me on the show. It's good to see you again.
Pleasure.
All right, so let's just get right into it. And my first question goes into Dr. Ben Sembajwe. My question is, the mushrooming strikes over pay, do you think these are caused by the economic situation and poor cost of living in the country, or is everybody just getting greedy?
Thank you, Sarah, for inviting me to talk about this issue.
Yes.
But I think, as you mentioned, it may not be necessarily the cost of living. Mm-hmm. But in Uganda, historically, we have found it that striking is becoming a culture. Mm-hmm. That whoever wants to come up, whoever may want to demand, he will demand in a way of striking.
Yes.
As you realize that in developed countries, strikes are minimum, simply because if there is a need, if there is a demand, people will negotiate.
Yes.
We shall see a series of meetings. But as you are aware that sometimes people have proved or have known that if you want something to be achieved, then you have to be to strike.
Yes.
Let's say strikes in Uganda, they have become a culture.
Yes.
When you see people demanding, we are seeing nurses are demanding, we are also noting doctors are coming up.
Yes.
The local government currently, the recent teacher scenario, I would call it a scenario because it's not normal that one section of the union can come out and really demand, and maybe the government yield to one part of the workers.
Yes.
I think one, the government is creating a precedent that if one section, let's say if permanent secretaries decide to strike, then you may find that assistants also can take their own strike.
Yes.
So I think it may not be necessarily the cost of living, but the way the government is handling things.
Yes.
For instance, when people realize that money is available,
Yes.
they will always demand for an increment. I was really thinking about this issue, and I thought that maybe when people see the extravagance nature of expenditure,
Yes.
I looked at for instance, if people realize or see that the government is devoting 1.2 billion to buy a vehicle, I think this would make people to believe that there is really money available. Another aspect I thought about that may not be due to the cost of living is the way, the nature of the corrupt officials. When people take money, public funds, the follow-up is not the best.
Yes.
So it makes the whole environment to believe that this government has a lot of money.
Yes.
Therefore, we are employees, we are workers. Why don't we demand for more? So, on the other hand, the cost of living that is coming up, I think also, it could be partly because of the government, as I've noted earlier, that taxes, once taxes increase, you expect also people to demand more pay because, one, their disposable income will be less.
Yes.
As the cost of living increase, people will also need their salaries to be enhanced.
Yes.
And what comes out is that the whole general economy will be mismanaged.
I understand that, but let's look at the figures and how much they want their salaries to be increased. And this was a statement by the Uganda Local Government Workers Union, and it was a statement put forth by their General Secretary, Mr. Hassan Mudiba, and he went on to say that they are proposing at least because the salary increments are over by 300%. The chief administrative officer from 2.3 million Uganda shillings to 15 million Uganda shillings. So what is the explanation or justification for this hike? It doesn't make any sense because you are literally moving from one tax bracket to another.
But in one, I would say the precedent that has been set, look at the science teachers.
Yes.
From about 1 million or less to 4 million.
Yes.
I think this justifies anybody to determine his salary.
So there is no criteria there?
There is no criteria. They simply say scientists are very important. Let's increase their salary. What is the procedure?
Yes.
Is the government going to manage this? If you leave out the arts teacher now, because these are people who went to school, same school, taking same duration, 3 years, a degree.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, you pay 300 more, or you pay 10 times. I would even say 10 times, according to what some.
Yes.
But one thing I want also to mention, that the salary increment is not new in Uganda's economy. Look at a primary teacher, 1995, 96. A primary teacher was earning about 60,000, which means from 1995 to today, an increment is almost 300%.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
But that is within a span of 10 years and
that's
more.
what I want to show. That's what I want to show. But now, a mere saying that we want more money as scientists, then we all of a sudden increase the salary by that percentage.
Yes.
I think everybody in Uganda may claim, I've been looking at a driver from something 230 to 1.7. Really, there is a need.
What about you, Dr. Rogers? What are your thoughts on it? Do you think there is a political twist to it, or somebody is nudging and trying to destabilize government? Because that is some of the conspiracy theories on social media.
Yeah, and Sarah, I was here several months ago.
Yes, you
I predicted the
yes,
same.
You
I told
did.
you that this is going to escalate, and you're going to see it. And I was talking to Dr. Ben here. We all have a route in, we did a doctorate in South Africa. I predicted this 10 years ago. That's when I started the Labour Party.
Yes.
In South Africa, this, don't be lied, it is not a salary thing. It's a political revolution coming in Uganda. In South Africa, what people don't know is that ANC failed to take out the apartheid regime. What happened? The mine workers came. Because when ANC would come, wherever they would put their bases in all African countries, these people would come and bomb them, take them to the Robben Island.
Yes.
But the mine workers said, you know what? You will not bomb us. We'll just stay in our houses and strike. And indeed, when the mine workers started their strikes, the government went on its knees. Because the workers, you will not, they are just giving their labor and professional labor. You will not strike them. You will not tear gas them. No, it won't be walk to work.
Yes.
So what is going to happen to Uganda? And I'm even laughing at them. They say that but we, for example, I'm a political scientist.
Yes.
And I'm an artist also.
Yes.
These predictions, we made them 10 years ago. And that's why you see Labour Party. Because we knew what will come. What is going to bring this government to their knees, unless they listen to us, is workers. This thing is not going to end. They've seen what, at first they thought it is a political game. But at the center of every government should be its workers, its citizens.
Yes.
And every citizen sells labor. And they would want to have the same, the more they put in, the more they get out. But government for a long time played politics and put so much money in politicians who are not even qualified or not as qualified. For example, you would know that a member of parliament needs to just be an S6 leaver or a person who has an S6 certificate. So, but now people started studying them. But though I agree with Dr. Ben a bit in the economics, but it all roots in the politics, that this is a political revolution and it is what is going to bring the NRM government down if they don't watch this. And many times people are asking, I say, no, I was even willing to advise the NRM government on where to go. It is no longer going to be about the military. The military will have its weapons, but workers, if they are not careful, they are going to bring them down. Unless, what happened in South Africa, Ramaphosa, who is the president of South Africa, he was not in ANC. He was just a leader of the union.
Yes.
They brought him on board, took him to Nelson Mandela on Robben Island, and because the whites had come, their interest was to get money, they had to bow down, and that's how actually the political revolution came. Even in Uganda here, the political revolution has started, and no one can now stop it. It is going to mushroom today. If a cow, of course, I see these extravagant requests, but government already showed and justified, because if you give a speaker which can pay salaries for a whole district, how do you say you don't have money? They're already on their knees. They need now to come and start bargaining, not only with the teachers because they are mistaken, even with the political players. Like especially some of us who told them it is about labor. So it is not going, because already they are saying these people are from the ghetto. These people, now they are reasonable people who are in this political game. Yeah? They are not going only to deal with the ghetto people. I'm a PhD. I've always given them the narrative, how it's going to end. They ignored. They thought they purchased those jets very expensively, by the way. The purchase of the jets can pay for teachers over 10 years. But now, the jets are not going to help. It is common sense and it is political bargaining to bring in the economics. They have to come, government will have to come and bargain with the public. And bargain with, it has to be a uniform structure all across. Like in Kenya, if you saw, and it is practical, on Labor Day, the president of Kenya said, across board, everyone gets 10%. Across board, that's what I advise when I saw these people saying, how can you increase the speaker and MPs by about 50%? Then you say you won't increase the teacher. But say across the board, even if you say 5%, people will take it with a good heart. So, but you cannot increase someone by 300% and another one doesn't get, yet they're in the same economic situation. This was stupidity on the part of government, and I will say it, this was stupidity, highest level of stupidity.
All right. All right. Very strong words. I was taken aback by that comment. But all right. So how do these salary strikes, how will they affect our economy in the long run? Because we're already seeing one sector grappling, and that is the education sector. First of all, our country had one of the longest, education shutdowns during the COVID pandemic for the whole 2 years, actually almost 2.5 years. And then now we come back from that shutdown, then teachers are striking, and now teachers are divided. So we are already seeing one sector grappling down before our eyes. And also government released the pupils' learning outcomes and showed that the increase of illiteracy in primary school increased from 40.5% to 55%. Where are we going? In the next 5 years, what are your predictions? I'm curious to know, because this is actually very, very worrying.
Thank you, Sarah. To me, I think we are just adding insult to an injury. We have been in lockdown for almost 2 years.
Yes.
Now we are trying to stabilize, then these ones come up. In the first place, as an economist, when there is a strike, there is loss of output.
Yes.
Which means everybody is not going to be producing. In other words, when we talk about strikes in schools, students are going to be losing. That's where we are going. And as we've seen, now we are having one sector, that's education. But you've seen a series of them are coming up.
Yes.
We are getting the local government. At one time they're saying on Thursday. We are seeing very many things. But one thing I want to tell you, a mere breakdown of one sector, there is a lot of multiplier effect that will happen.
Yes.
Look at the people who are taking students to school. Look at the border people.
Yes.
Look at the consumption of fuel. All of these are going to be down. And what will be the consequence? First of all, the government will lose in that aspect, taxes. But remember still, as a matter of fact, if the government tries to yield to that high aspect of salaries as it has done, the so-called artists, what they are selling, it will be also at high price. Consequently, we shall have a destabilized economy.
Yes.
That's where we are predicting. Currently, the prices are high, but still, if these ones go on, we are expecting a spiral kind of inflation, whereby no one in the economy will be able, apart from those few. I have been saying this, and according to World Bank of Uganda report, this May says that people who are earning above 1 million are 1%. So that means all of us, we are struggling within poverty.
Yes.
1 million is about $300.
Yes.
And when you look at that, what is the cost per day? So at the end of the day, I'm seeing a situation of poverty worsening, with this coming, the purchasing power within the economy will reduce simply because people will not be having money, people will not be producing. The taxes will increase consequently. In the first place, when people are agitating for higher prices, in the first place, also the government will get ways of making sure that it collects the revenue.
Yes.
And the revenue is collected from the citizens of Ugandans.
Yes.
That means taxes will increase. And consequently, if taxes will increase, profits level will reduce, and there will be what we call crowding out effect within the economy.
Yes.
Business dying off. Then we shall have, if I take a comparison of the sector of education, what will happen to private institutions? Now the government has decided to pay millions to those. Then there will be a shift of teachers going to government schools. And consequently, private institutions will not have teachers. And what will happen to the general environment? The youth who are in school. Then we shall see some inequality coming up. If the government, as my colleague has said, if the government does not handle this, to me, I would say if they made a mistake, and we are sure that the implementation of the science package is beginning with this year, I think they would have to reconsider. And maybe, because the moment you begin discriminating, he is a politician, but I wouldn't want to see discrimination within the same professional in terms of payment. This gives us another clue. What do they need? Is it the theory of divisionism that is coming, that we divide and then we move on?
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm seeing it, we are predicting to what we call doom. Increment in salary is not the major issue.
What is the major issue?
Is managing the economy. Is managing the economy is the major issue. How do you manage the economy? All of these are coming out because the economy has been mismanaged.
Yes.
I would say. Otherwise, if the manage is properly, if the economy is properly managed, all of these could be solved. We couldn't have this. As he has said, we need a salary increment across. Kenya gave it an example by showing us that they have a minimum wage, and then as they said, let's increase across the board. And everybody was happy.
Yes.
And only not across the board, like Doctor brought it up. When now you also still say, because for example, I'll tell you for education, and these are facts.
Yes.
We have more students in private universities. And now we have more students in private schools.
Yes.
So it is no longer about government to talk about public officers. It has also to make laws which affect private institutions.
Yes.
For example, you are not going to pay any doctorate anywhere less than 1 million. Government should now, because most, like he said, observed, And I will first talk about the quality. We are not going there. It is already too bad. The quality in our education system is so low. Compared from independence, Uganda is right now suffering the lowest quality. I'm talking about it. I have students from P1 up to university where I lecture.
Yes.
It has never been like that. Quality has been compromised. Because most of the teachers are in private institutions.
Yes.
Even this discussion you hear is talking about less teachers than the majority. The majority are in private. I have my statistics clear. So now, if you are not talking also about these people who are being used in the private sector, and now you are only addressing, you see, this confusion is only in the less teachers. Now, if what of these ones who are the majority, and you are not saying their employers, you're not putting standards on their employers. This is what is happening. A lecturer is given money by the employer. Now, because of that money, let's say I'm given 1 million to lecture. I will apportion the time which is worth 1 million. If the syllabus is, let's say, 64 hours of teaching, I will teach 20. And I will, and that's what their people are doing. And I wouldn't do it personally, but that's what they are doing. Ethically, they teach quarter of the syllabus, mark and
move on
and promote students. Then you think you have a citizenry which is, so already the quality has affected everyone. This confusion, you are seeing in public, but it is worse in private. Because most of the private owners are not regulated. They are doing things as they want. They are paying teachers
as they want.
And selfishly, by the way, these ones in public institutions are even getting about 5 times more than the private. I will tell you, for example, I will talk for doctorate. A doctorate student, a doctorate lecturer in a public institution gets about 7 million, and he wants more. But in a private one, he gets the same qualification, same everywhere. Some get less than 1 million. So, as a country, what are you on? Do we still have a government? It shows you that the government is not in control. If the government, National Council of Higher Education, cannot even tell private institutions a minimum, they cannot even look at what these individuals who own these institutions, what they have on account, or the minimum standard they are operating their institutions in. So we have already a collapsed education system, and I will tell you it is collapsing. So it is not only regulating for those public institutions, but they should, because they are the ones who brought privatization. They are the ones who say let's go private. They should start regulating also salaries of the private sector.
Sir, I was just also adding on the view that science is not an issue in Uganda as per se, because yesterday, as I was looking at the ministers, the cabinet ministers, the science were forming only 20 out of 81. Then on top of that, I was reading something when they invited scientists in the army recruitment. Out of, they wanted 150, but 1,000 people who were scientists applied. To me, I think that is not a problem. The problem could be somewhere else. Having 60 plus ministers, it shows that there is also an importance in arts subject.
Yes.
I don't know whether the government is aiming at eliminating arts. We have seen the curriculum for secondary.
Yes.
Most of the subjects are arts. Does that mean we've been not knowing what we want? I think the problem is not science. And what is science anyway? Is it the roads? Is it the medicine? Is it the hospitals? What is science?
No, for me,
because we need to know more
to
about
understand what the
science.
No, to me, even it is from a point of ignorance. If you go to see, for example, because for me I'm both science arts.
And arts, yes.
A teacher of physics, what they are teaching, you could say, because they are, let's say someone say, if they are teaching Newton's law,
yes,
they are as if teaching history of physics.
Yes.
The two are the same. Actually, what we don't know that even the arts become sciences. And that's why if you see people go and say he's a doctorate of economics, he's already a scientist. Everything, there is no middle ground that is, for example, if they say artists and science, geography, is geography science or an art? Geography is, there is a science of geography.
Of geography, yes.
And that's why there is what they call political science. So this other confusion is just actually ignorance that they are art subjects and science subjects. Every art can be, from, if it is developed, it becomes a science. Science means you are seeing a notion over time and something can, because we are in COVID. And the president became an artist by starting to predict every two weeks or
yes,
two, and he will give us a speech. So everyone can become a scientist. And it is the development of that.
There's a science in every art.
Exactly. So this one of confusing that somehow you're paying them 3 times more than the rest because it is just confusion and ignorance.
Let's talk about that for a second. Increasing the science teachers' salaries or pay, does it guarantee that the number of people who go on to pursue these quote-unquote science courses will become doctors, engineers, whatever the case may be, you know, mainstream sciences, because the president did say that they're giving them priority because it's what our economy needs, more scientists, because it is their important and impact at the agriculture, technology, and that is where the direction that they want to take the country in. Will it guarantee that we will get the results that we need in, say, the next 10 plus years?
Thank you, Sarah, for that question. But
Yes.
to me, I think there is no guarantee. The problem is not science, as mentioned earlier. It's about human resource planning.
Yes.
How are we planning? Now today we have seen it is as if we are doing agriculture. You've seen people doing agriculture, uneducated. The moment tomatoes rises up their prices, all the whole village plants tomatoes.
Yes.
And at the end of the day,
Yes,
it is the same thing I expect here. We are putting all our resources in science, but at the end of the day, you will find them on the road.
Yes.
One country that I've seen this is Cuba. They invested a lot in science, but at the end of the day, boys were found along the road. They have nothing to do. So to me, I believe it's not about injecting more resources in science, but sitting down as a government and see how many do we need in this sector? How many do we need in this? Eventually, as you've seen Ugandans, they will be on the road. No work to be done.
Now let's go back to the strikes now. Let's talk about the strikes now. How do we move forward and ensure that no other government organization, union or agency, whether government comes up to start striking again? How do we move forward from this? Because we have had a series, at least from as far back, we can't go any quarter in the year without at least 2-3 strikes happening. How do we move forward from this?
My take on that is what I predict, that there should be a general conversation as a nation. First of all, it shows you that there is a revolution has ended. And this is the revolution, the national resistance revolution. We are no longer resisting anyone.
Yes.
There is peace, relative peace. We thank God for the NRM people and our forefathers who fought all these, and now there is peace.
Yes.
Right now it is about sharing the national cake, which is going to be shared by everyone. So we should bring this cake on the national table and realistically begin sharing it through regions.
Yes.
You get it? Then through also qualification.
Yes.
Because in my case, even on the former input, I was like, reward should be given to innovation.
Yes.
That's why you see Uganda is somehow going forward, because it's now the big, let's say, fastest growing entrepreneurial country.
Yes.
When you reward innovation, like Dr. said, what you will see is that people will start doing that. If, like, for example, you give incentives for innovation,
Yes.
that is actually what they would call science. Not that you are rewarding science teachers, but anybody who invents anything or who brings a plan which puts that person, and that's how the American economies have grown in the Silicon Valley. A young man, even if he's 17, he innovates something, even if it is Facebook. America is getting a lot of money from innovation.
Yes.
So, moving forward politically, government should have a conversation. And this, what I would call old class, should know that this is not their time. They should be planning to hand over what they've played their role.
Yes.
The young people are very active. They know what they want. So this conversation should have all Ugandans knowing that let's leave the old class, even politicking.
Yes.
Let us have a conversation across board where the center person is a common man, the wage earner, and every wage is well stimulated, that people, even as they are studying, they are targeting towards where our country will benefit. So what would happen to government? It would put more resources in where the biggest benefit of the country is.
Yes.
And then they will try also to, like I've told you, to talk to all the political parties. Because now, right now, the political parties will pass in the workers, because now they know that is where, that is what will bring government down.
Yes.
So it is a conversation which will, without arrogance, because there's been so much arrogance that it is me who is giving. It has to be a fair political conversation across board.
All right. So my next question is it the right time for government to even consider increasing anybody's salary? Because even the members of parliament as of May 2022 were, petitioning, or rather asking for increase in their allowances and their salaries. So it's not only just,
it has been increased, actually.
It has been increased. So is it the right time?
Yeah, but
is it the right time to be doing this?
Let me answer that one, then I also add on what he has said. One, I think it would be the right time if it was all public servants.
Yes.
I would say, because the economic conditions are not good as far as Uganda is concerned, or our economy. But again, there are options that the government could take.
What are these options?
We could see that the government take on a wage freeze, trying to wait, but not looking at a few individuals. Because the problem of increasing sections, the parliament are taking on their share, the science teachers are taking on, other people will come in. If the budget was not able to support, then we would all wait.
Yes.
And see. To me, I don't justify it at that moment if it was not able to see each and everybody. The trade unions also could come with wage restraints, trying to wait to see. But because, as I've told you, they cannot wait when they're seeing a lot of money being spent extravagantly.
Yes.
So they consequently raise up. Then I want to comment on what he said. One, it cannot be solved forever because conditions do change.
Yes.
And we are growing. The dollar is depreciating, the cost of living increasing. So we could say that what is the best way that we could handle such situations?
Yes.
So they will continue looking at it. One, I said the economy should be properly managed.
When you say properly managed, what in particular is going so wrong so far?
Of course, one thing that is affecting everybody is the current taxes. Look at the prices for fuel. This cannot stop if the government, and I've consistently said this, the government officials, including the prime ministers, including the other time I had the Minister of Energy, that is laughing at people who cannot see that Uganda has nothing to do about fuel. Does it mean we have a government? Is it that all the Ugandans are on their own? That's the question. There is no way where we have educated people in Uganda and they say the price of those goods are increasing and nothing cannot be done. Otherwise, they are telling us that completely we are failing to do anything. Then another alternative, if they are solving the problems of the teachers, can we skill our teachers beyond the salary? Because as the government may not be in a position to pay teachers, then give them alternative. That as you are teaching, then you have to develop this.
Yes.
Skilling, having alternative income, so that they also enjoy an average cost of living. Then misappropriation. That's another issue I'm talking about. Can the money be allocated properly within the economy?
Or scientifically.
Oh, yes.
Because, for example, you're talking of science. The only thing is that the money should be scientifically managed. And the best person to manage this scientifically is not the president.
Who?
And that's where politics is coming in. Everyone is going to the president. And the president is playing a political game. This money is not for the president, first of all. And it is not supposed to be managed by politicians. If we manage it scientifically, like they want to say it, then everyone will have a small bit. Sarah, in your home, if you increase your salary by 1 million, it would be unfortunate if you put it in one sector.
Yes.
But if everyone feels that increase
Within that various sectors.
Exactly, even by 10%, a child who was not having, who was taking mogo now takes bread a bit. Then the house girl also, the salary increases by 10%. Then everyone will be comfortable. But right now, like he's saying, the mismanagement is because the political class wants to show that they are the alpha and omega. And they are, whoever comes, because for example, where we're having chaos, the science teachers came. And now the president met them. And he said, I'm giving, indeed he increased, but he caused more chaos. So the president is not the most qualified person in this nation to increase because he doesn't know even the science of this calculation. He's an artist, like he's saying. There are more qualified people who can give him how these resources can be shared across board. So let's take out the politics. The first lady is not the most qualified person to know how his teachers across board. Let the advisors still do their job like they used to do before. Let's not have a political game. This is salary, and it is most actually that's why they would apply the science on the salary, because what they applied is not science, it is stupidity, like I told you.
Right, Dr. Sembatre, you're saying how else can we properly, solve this crisis that we are plunging into?
I think also the issue that whoever strikes that it will be handled by the president, I think it is also wrong. They are technical people. They are procedures. I think now you realize that not until the president comes up, everybody will remain up. I want this, I want this. I think we are overtaxing the president by playing everywhere. Could we leave? Because at the end of the day, if people know that there are forums in which to discuss our grievances, then it could make a sense. But I want to say strikes cannot end in such an economy.
Yes.
And
so
I predict more.
Predict more.
I predict more. Because today, you will talk to the medical workers, then those who are sweeping our road will come from Kampala State Authority.
Then the
that
nurses
want. So it will not be. And they will know where our issues will end. Not until the president comes, we shall not.
Yes.
So that is the culture we are creating in our economy.
Yes.
Instead of the president discussing major macro issues, global issues.
He's doing everybody else's job.
So I think, as I say, strikes cannot end.
All right. So because we're out of time, any parting shots? I'll start with you, Dr. Rogers.
Mine is time to laugh. This I told you. They are in my writings 10 years ago that this workers' revolution is going to end the impunity. And until we, the technocrats, like I'm one of the technocrats, are brought on board, we have a conversation of how we can plan for the country. It is not going to be with the illiterate political class alone. It is unfortunate, but it is our time to laugh at you people that you let us out, and this is it. We predicted, and these mushroom strikes are going to bring a political revolution. All I would talk for my laborers, because I'm a leader of a labor party,
yes,
that please, your best bargain is your work. Withdraw it if you can, and you will be given what is worth your labor.
All right.
Thank you, Sal. Me, I'm just saying that he has mentioned we have peace, relative peace, but people don't eat peace. We need to look at these things critically.
That's
as
true.
technical people, and I would say, I send greetings to my co-researchers, Mr. Chiveru and your group, Gateway Research Center. Thank you for allowing us to.
All right.
Discussion.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me right here on Sunrise at 6, the Twitter Jabs. And I was joined by Dr. Rogers Barigayomwe, and he's a political analyst, and Dr. Ben Sembajwe, an economist. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Thank you for your input. It was very, very insightful. The conversation continues on our social media handles on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube. If you missed this interview, you can definitely watch it again on our YouTube channel, and that is at CTV Uganda. Otherwise, stay tuned, because coming up is our lifestyle segment, and I was at the Griffin Falls in Mabira Forest ziplining, and if you are an adrenaline junkie, or rather a thrill seeker, this episode is absolutely dedicated to you. This is Sunrise at Sea. Don't blink.